How are you guys doing?
I'm
Good.
I'm great. I'm great.
I'm not in the John Kreese mode now. I'll go back there on Tuesday and back in the John Kreese mode. But now, now just sort of hanging out, talking about Taste of Love, which is far more emotional.
We're actually in Marty's apartment in Atlanta because he's still filming Cobra Kai. So we're in Atlanta. I came in and we did a radio tour and just doing as much press as we can to promote this movie.
Well, I got to see it 9 months ago when it was at the Sunscreen Festival. I got the private screening link. So I watched it. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to see it again when it premieres. You guys filmed this movie back in 2021. So I'm curious, like now that you're finally getting to release it to the world, what is that feeling like?
It's really a good movie. Is it 2021 or 2022? I don't remember now.
I think it was 2021.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, well, I think they held off on wanting to sell it to a really, strong network, and they waited. And it's a really good movie, and the producers did not want to just, it was an independent, and they did not want to sell it, because it's a good picture for something underrated as a price. So it was a great, it's a lovely, lovely movie, and you know, Susan's good in it. My son's terrific in it, and Erin is wonderful. And we had a really good time as a family doing this. It's a very vulnerable role. It's not John Kreese, so it was really easy to be Marty Kove and just play family man.
I am just so glad it's finally coming out and on the Hallmark channel because that's the perfect place for it. It was a wonderful experience. It was great working with him and being around he and his son and seeing, the closeness between them was very, very special. And I'm excited for the Cobra Kai family to see him in such a different role because he's a great actor and he brings so much to it. And I think they're going to get a big kick out of it.
It was such a feel good movie. I just felt good the whole time watching it and seeing you guys on there playing these completely opposite roles than what I'm used to on Cobra Kai. It was just refreshing and it was just really, really nice. What is it about this film that you think people will resonate with?
It's a family movie that I think kids need to see because it's about two kids who love each other at the age of 5, and then they, as gravitate to each other, during the movie, and towards the end, they stay with each other. I think it's a tasteful movie. It's not too soft. It's a tasteful movie about food and about family and about values. We went back to Dunedin last week and it was brilliant. We stayed in the same hotel, stayed in the same suite, and the people were wonderful. And it resonates in the movie where the people are very supportive where we made it and within the movie. And it's a small town movie, and we own a restaurant, and the restaurant is real. It's really CC Riders is real, and it's in Dunedin. And it gives it. It's not violent, It's not the kind of movies that I've made over and over and over again, and it's just about love, And I like that. I'd rather do that than hard ass guys. But one doesn't get a chance because John Kreese is so very popular.
And for both of you, like how did this role come to be?
Well, Lori Wyman casting out of Miami, she put it out to the agents, and my agent Tracy at Brevard Talent told me about it. She said, I think you'd be perfect for this. And I happened to be in town. So I went ahead and submitted the tape. And then Lori called and said that I was the first choice in the Southeast and they wanted to put me on hold. So I was on hold. That was great. But they didn't book me, and I had some other stuff coming up and it's like, well, what's the deal? And so they said, well, I said, is there somebody else on hold? What's the deal? And they said, no, Susan is the only one on hold. And then we finally found out that or at least this is a story I heard, that the LA casting director wanted to cast a personal friend of hers from LA. And Lori, who's a good friend of mine too, and Tracy, they're like, if you know anybody that knows anybody right now, you need to call in a favor. And I hate asking people to help me. I'm much more comfortable giving than receiving. It's control thing, I guess. But anyway, I remembered that my Atlanta agent, Jason Lockhart at AMT, was close personal friends with Jesse and Martin Cove. Oh God, I did not want to call him, but I was like, well, they always say they love me. We're getting ready to find out how much he loves me. So I called him. He said, I would be more than happy to make a phone call for you. And the next thing I knew, I was booked. So thank you, Martin.
I had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. I never even, all I knew was I got a call while I was moving to Nashville to come and play with this it was very soft. It was a non-confrontational character. And so I wanted to do that. So I put off everything. And then, I knew Susan from Cobra Kai, from the homeless Lynn character. And it was a surprise that, there's some things you can do. There's some things I didn't know who was playing anything. I didn't even know Erin, but I knew that I wanted to play a softer character. And, we all hit it off. Susan and I hit it off. And Erin was wonderful to work with. And Jesse is brilliant as the romantic lead. He's like a little Cary Grant, It was the producer that brought us into this project. My friend Lincoln Lageson, who was a wonderful producer who did everything. I did a couple of Westerns with him. He did Rough Riders with John Milius. And he's been out there for a long time. And, these characters didn't think that I was a family man owning a restaurant, having fun with his wife. They thought of John Kreese like you do, and he manipulated the deal. So it was almost like Susan's deal. They had to be persuaded because Hollywood pigeonholes you.
Well, getting, to talk to you in person and then, watching A Taste of Love, I've definitely seen, the variety. You could go from John Kreese, such a scary dude, to such a loving family man. So it's really awesome. It's so cool that you guys, even though you worked on Cobra Kai together, I know you really weren't like on set too much together. You didn't really interact much. And this film probably brought you guys a lot closer as friends. So like, what has that been like, getting to know each other more, work together on this film, and not just work together, but play husband and wife?
Well, I will tell this story, and Drew, you may know this, but I'm sure doesn't even remember it. But I think it was season 2 when Lynn is sitting outside on the curb. You know what I'm going to say?
Yep. Yep.
And I'm spinning that donut on my finger. And then, I say, you're taking me home with you, baby. And Johnny says, can't you be home with somewhere else? And I do the cat call. Kreese and Johnny have a little exchange. And then Kreese walks by Lynn. And he looks at Lynn and says, if he won't take you home, I will. Do you remember that?
No.
He was just that quick on the fly. And
Wow.
Was I in character? Or
you were still, I don't know.
I wouldn't have been the character.
You acted like you were in character.
Yeah, but it probably was just on the Marty Kove. So,
He said it to Lynn.
I said, yeah, one of those, non-personal jokes that are funny, but it sounds like what I said, what I would do personally. See how attractive she is, and yet homeless Lynn looks like she was, through World War II. But by and large, this is a wonderful little movie, and we had a really good time. And it was very emotional. It's a very emotional, piece. It's about love, and these little kids at 5 love each other, and then they don't really consummate a relationship until they're 25 years later. And that's what I like about it. I like those little fantasy stories that come about, and it's all based on the food industry. So it's real. It's good.
It's a really beautiful film. And one of the themes I noticed from it was decision making. Like, you had Taylor, the main character, she's struggling to decide, like, to help her family's restaurant, but then to save her career, the relationship with Jacob. So I'm curious, like, because we see like her struggling to make decisions in the movie, for you guys in your personal life, when you have an important decision ahead of you, what factors do you consider when making a big important decision like that?
Well, I know for me, one of the first things I do is I just draw a line down the middle of a piece of paper, and I do all the pros and all the cons. And I sort of weigh those, and because it's hard, but I have a faith, and I always pray about things. I'll meditate and try to quiet my mind, and quiet the cobwebs in my brain, and just kind of ground myself, because I can be kind of all over the place and very excitable, right? So I have to do things to ground myself and stay that way. And then you just try to do the next right thing, and not hurt anybody on the way, and try to put your whole heart into what it is that you're wanting to accomplish.
I mean, here's an interesting book I bought yesterday called 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think.
Hmm.
And I bought this yesterday because I like to, some decisions you make are, flippant and quick, and you don't really think about the outcome, or you only think about the outcome, but you don't think about what, the pitfalls are. I don't know, I try to be as logical as I can, but many times I'm so persistent and tenacious that I kind of figure that I could get away with it because I'm Marty Kove, and because, I'm charming and fun and all that. But there's a lot of times you think you can do that in life, and you come up against a sergeant of arms who doesn't spread his wings the way you expect him to. And you learn a lesson. You learn to try and operate as ethical as you can. And I try to operate as ethically as I can, even in difficult situations. Sometimes it slips, but most of the time, I think, as long as it's an honest decision you're making about whatever the subject is, and it's ethical, then you just follow your instinct.
Those are great answers. And Martin, there's a scene in the movie, without giving anything away, you're having a conversation with your daughter in the film Taylor, where she's struggling to make a decision. You're giving her advice. And I just remember that scene was really, really touching for me. It was what you were saying, but it was also like, yeah, I'm so used to John Kreese. And I just thought that was a really good moment. Do you remember the scene that I'm referring to?
Yeah, talking about she has to, be in love with food, and be in love, giving her things that my mother told me. Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. After I did that scene, the crew, half a dozen people came up to me and said, "You made us cry,"
Yeah.
And that was such a compliment to me, because it felt, I don't get a chance to do that very often. And I love vulnerability in a role, and that's why I like A Taste of Love so much, because it's so pertinent to how I really am. I'm much closer as a human being to Glenn, the restaurant owner, that I play, than I am to John Kreese. The venom for John Kreese, I don't know where it comes from. It just comes up there, and they keep writing tough guys because they love watching you lose it, and I think one of my favorite moments, contrary to the moment in Taste of Love, is I remember one moment which was the definitive John Kreese moment. It always rings true for me when Stingray wants to become part of the group, and I'm teaching the dojo, and I keep teaching and saying lines and all that, and he keeps talking to me saying, "I'll be a good student. I can do this." And I finally turn to him and I say, and I love the line. I said to him with as straight a face as I could, he said, "You have no value here." You have no value here. You'll oh, I think it was, you'll never work in this dojo because you have no value here. It was like I reduced him to, like, a banana. And And then when we cut print, and the writers came out of the little room in the back, the video village, they were all laughing, and it was a vindictive scene. And I said, I just went for it, but I didn't think it was funny. And they came out cracking up, and I said, "Why are you laughing?" And they said, "Because nobody could deliver darkness the way you do." So I just, it just happens. It just comes up.
He's a great actor, is what it is.
I don't know where it comes from. It just, yeah. I'm at that dark in life, no. But somehow you give me a John Kreese box to operate in, and I use all four sides, top and bottom, and because Susan and I were spending time together, and I'm not that dark even when things go wrong, I just get a little irritable because I'm somewhat spoiled in some areas, but I don't vindictively go at anybody. I could, but I don't. I don't. It's not. I always tell people I cry at supermarket openings. And so anyway, so I think living life logically and ethically, and whether you're on set or not on set, it's the key.
I love that. I know, for certain actors, for certain films, obviously, with John Kreese, you're nothing like John Kreese. You're kind of coming up with these things. But for this role, for both of you, playing these chefs, playing these parents, how much of your personal life and who you are and maybe real experiences did you take and put into this role along with the character that was given to you?
For me, I wish that Marty and I had collaborated a little bit more ahead of time, because I came up with my own backstory, which I usually do for every role, and for me being his wife, Glenn's wife, and Taylor's mom, and caring very much for Jesse's character, and she's just Patty is just a very loving, caring woman, and she's kind of the front person in the restaurant. She meets and greets the people and makes sure everybody's happy. And he's in the kitchen cooking. So, I incorporated all of those things that I knew that were in the script in my backstory and kind of wire it in my brain a little bit. But, I've never had more joy in my life than being a mother. So that part is very easy. And Erin Cahill is absolutely adorable. She's beautiful inside and out, and it was easy. It was very easy, and there was a natural ease and chemistry with him, which just made the whole experience very enjoyable. And when the writing's good too, it makes it more fulfilling.
This was Jesse Kove. Martin, your son, was also in this film, and you've worked with him for a lot of films. What made this film and working with him on this one in particular different? Because he wasn't your son, he was the boyfriend of your daughter, which is pretty interesting.
He was, since she goes off and works on television and is a very big success in, oddly enough, Atlanta, on television, he becomes close to us. He becomes close to our family. And I've always, fashioned him as to be her husband, because they loved each other and played with each other when they were 5 for God knows how much time. And anyway, she went off to Atlanta, disappeared for years, and then now she's back, and he still wants to matchmake and put it together, and he makes allowances, but it was no problem because he was so close to me. The exciting thing was what we did recently. In December, we did a Western in Florida, Jesse and I, and it was called The Gunfighter's Deal. And he plays the lead. And it's a whole different character than the character in A Taste of Love, because he makes a deal with the devil to be the best gun in the West. It's really, fascinating to see him deal with all the different actors. As you do when you're doing the lead, So, it's fun because you have to adapt to whatever your role is, even though he's your son. And Jesse does the same thing. He adapts to his role, whether he's dealing with Susan and I or he's dealing with Erin. He's good. And so I don't think the son-father dynamic gets him in the way ever, because it's just two actors having, being comfortable with one another, like, Bobby De Niro and Harvey Keitel. I mean, Bobby De Niro and God knows DiCaprio. I mean, they're comfortable with each other. I work with Tarantino and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he chooses people that are comfortable with each other. It doesn't matter what movie he's doing, and I think Brad Pitt and Leo were very comfortable with each other, and there's a knack for doing that. There's a knack to, I guess, to find people that you have a lot in common with, and then work with them. I mean, even if you don't know them to begin the movie, I think it's very exciting to become comfortable with somebody, not distant on a project. Even if you don't really even if you haven't met them before, somehow breaking the ice is real important, and it makes the job easier, unless you're playing antagonists. You're on the other sides. Each of you is on the other side. But being comfortable with my son, being comfortable with the other actors is key to making a good picture.
I've always loved your relationship off screen, seeing all those pictures of you guys together. It's just so sweet, and seeing that you guys work together too. It's just a great relationship. And Susan, this was your first time working with Jesse. What was that like?
I mean, from day one, and Martin had not arrived yet when we did like a table read through, and Jesse was there. So nice, so approachable, came up and gave me a great big hug. And I've got a son about his age, about his size, his same vibe, and I just loved him. He was wonderful, and he's such a great actor. I mean, he's just remarkable.
I know this is a Miyagi-Do lesson, but balance, I feel like, is just so important. And as actors, and parents, I'm sure it requires a lot of balance to maintain your career and work hard to get the jobs, but also maintain like a healthy work life, personal life, family balance. So how did both of you achieve that balance in your life?
It takes a lot of effort on my part. It really does. I have to be very intentional. And I do know that my friends suffer because when I'm not working, then, I need to prioritize my family. And sometimes you just don't have the time to reconnect and stay connected to everybody that you want to, and so that's hard. It's hard for me because, I love a lot of people in my life, but I love to work. And yeah, I'm working really hard, and I feel like I've got a few good years left, and I just want to go for it and, try to do as good a work as I possibly can and see where it takes me. But I have to be very intentional, Drew. And you reach out because, especially with friendships or, cousins or uncles or niece and nephew, whatever, if you don't make an effort to stay in touch, then another year goes by, another year goes by. So, it's tricky. I'm not the best at it. I try.
That's important. Doing your best. How about you, Marty? How do you keep that work, life, personal balance?
Somehow I've involved myself with the workload is something I really want to do. It's something that's always challenging. And I sort of blend it together. When I stopped doing press and not working on the set, I will go and sit with a cigar and read. I can't wait to read this book, 101 Essays That'll Change Your Life. I'm always interested in that. But you know, there's just a lot of reference material that I use to read for pleasure about Hollywood, about the West, about, you know, actors and interviews and old, you know, cinema is a very big hobby of mine, you know, and so a lot of things come up that pertain to work. You could look at them as if they're work, but they're not, because it's pleasurable Hollywood, you know. It's not getting on the phone and pushing someone to, you know, oh, I can do this role, and you know, it's not it's not really, it's related, but it's not. You know, I'll practice horseback riding and get on a horse because I have to do a Western, and that's business and pleasure, you know. And the same thing with gunplay. I'll go out there to the range and shoot some guns because something's coming up that I got to play. So it becomes business with a lot of pleasure. So my life is kind of, I merged them, you know, and I don't think there's a day goes by where my son and I don't talk about a movie that we both love. And what are you watching on Netflix now? And I say this, and he says that. And we do it all in a very pleasurable framework of just sitting on the balcony here in Atlanta, you know, contemplating Cobra Kai. It all meshes in together, you know. It's never, I don't divorce myself and run off and read a book on physics, you know. It's just, you know, Susan does.
His life is very different than mine because you know, I don't have those people in my life that are interested in what I'm interested in, you know what I mean? And that want to talk about the business and want to talk about films. And so it, you know, it's challenging for me in particular, because even though my friends and my family are very supportive, you know, they want to talk about their lives and their children and their issues and that kind of thing. So yeah, you know, it makes for a challenge, but you know, that's just the way it is. And I love being around other actors and people like you, Drew, who are like-minded and kind of on that same wavelength. And I just try to, you know, be a sponge and soak everything up while I can, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's so great talking to you guys, because I'm so into the film and into creating, and obviously you guys bring these projects to life on screen through your performances. So it's really cool. I love to be behind the camera, but also in front of the camera, and you guys are great.
The most important thing really is if you can temper spiritualism, metaphysical activity with, you know, Hollywood and your work. That's really the key. You know, it's just the key. You got to make time for that, because otherwise business will drive you crazy.
Yeah.
You know, as positive, as exciting as it is, it's a killer. You know, it's just, you know, it's, you got to really, that's what I always tell my son. You have to really temper business with spiritualism, with meditation and all. Because if you don't, you know, it'll eat you up alive. It's there to eat you up alive. It's Sodom and Gomorrah, a place called Hollywood. And you just got to really, you know, it takes a while. It takes a while to figure it out, you know.
Did you learn that just from being in the industry for a while? Did it just kind of like you just understood that? Or was there like a specific moment where you realized maybe things were getting too chaotic and you had to, you know, combine that spiritualness with the work?
No, you know, my kids, my daughter was always very spiritual. So, and you know, my ex-wife was a psychologist. So, you know, I was always, it was never one event, you know, there was always just periods of time where you learned more about the business. You know, that's why I always tell young actors, you know, tenacity is the key. They don't hire you, it's their problem, you know. And yet a foundation in the theater is also the other end of the spectrum. Having, you know, working in theater, you know, I tell people the first 20 years of my career, I was trying to be Steve McQueen, you know, and then one day it just was a catharsis. And all of a sudden I said, well, you know, it's okay to be Marty Cove. It's really okay to use my instrument and be me. And I think, you know, when I did Days of Cagney and Lacey, you know, I was primping and, you know, I'm trying to do Steve McQueen all the time, you know, and you know, the more you use yourself, the more interesting it is, because we have so many characteristics, and we don't know all the characteristics of the people we emulate, you know. So, bottom line is, the knowledge came over a lot of years in the business, you know. And it just, you know, you learn that, you know, there's a lot of reasons you don't get the roles you want, and some of them are ridiculous reasons. Like you look like the guy that the producer's wife just dumped him for, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, that's why you lost the role after you gave a great reading. You know, I've had that happen before.
Oh my God.
In the early days. And yet you'll go into an interview sometimes and you'll sit there and the guy will offer you some champagne. When I did Chips, the guy offered me some champagne back 1977. And we sat there drinking champagne. Producer didn't know me, but he was so wild that he just, you know, he liked a couple of pictures I did. And we sat there drinking and ended up getting high on a bottle of champagne. And next thing you know, I had this roll in Chips. And I didn't read. I didn't even get to the reading, you know? He just sat there and wanted someone to drink with. You have experiences like that, you know? And then you have terribly vindictive experiences where, you know, guys, you know, just don't really have anything to do with you because you look like, you know, their wives love her, you know? So you learn.
Or their ex-wife.
Or their ex-wife. You learn this going up and down the ladder, you know?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of different experiences you could have. So Taste of Love, what are your cooking skills like in real life? And do you have a favorite dish that you enjoy cooking?
In my personal life, I am more of a recipe kind of gal. I mean, cooking is not my passion. I mean, I cook good enough for my family. They like it. They like certain things at holidays, but I'm a dessert girl. I make a lot of great desserts, so it's good when I don't make those because I'm usually the one that eats most of them.
Well, I'm just an omelet guy. I love, you know, I like making omelets and playing with it and seasoning. That's what I learned on the show, is how to season and how to, you know, be patient and make sauces work. In the past, I wasn't, and now I learned how to, you know, cut things and dice and utilize the knife differently. And it was a gas. It was a gas learning all these things because I've always wanted to cook fine meals, but I never had the patience because I just let my hunger dominate, and I would eat too fast, too quickly, unless I was cooking with someone. You know, if I was cooking with someone, then it would temper the pace. You know, it would be better. Cooking with a woman was always great because they were just more patient and they would take time. And, you know, I would try to do it too fast because I was always a hungry little boy.
Like most men, always hungry.
Yeah, I don't really have patience to cook, so I usually just throw something in the air fryer.
I haven't used my air fryer yet. I haven't. Jesse bought me an air fryer. I have not used it yet. It's sitting in Nashville. I have not used it yet. It's funny.
But we're proud of you, Drew. I mean, the things that you have done at your age are just remarkable. And, you know, with your channel, and I'm grateful that I've gotten to know you. And I met you before you even started the channel in New York when you did a little meet and greet. I met your parents, and it's just real special. So we've watched your career. Everybody has, and everybody just loves you. So major congrats for everything that you've done. And you know, you're just a very creative person and a good person, and you're going to go far in this business and in life.
So when you produce a movie, just give me a walk on.
Both of them.
Yeah, just
Right?
give me a walk on. I always tell my son when he gets his break, I say, Jesse, just give me a walk on. Let me have a little entrance with you in a room.
I could give you more than that. If I were to ever make a movie, I could definitely give you more than that. I would love to make something with both of you in it. That'd be great.
Well, it's good to chat with you, and the writers love you. I mean, these guys, they introduced me to your work, and they don't respond to anybody like they respond to you. They just don't. Anyway, so you're in good favor. So it is good to talk to you.
Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate that. It was so nice talking to both of you. And for everyone watching, February 19th at 8 o'clock p.m. on Hallmark. Super, super excited. Is there anything you want to say to the viewers before we sign off? Why they should go see Taste of Love?
Because they'll love it. That's why. Because it's a marvelous story about love and food. That's it.
And beautiful Florida. The cinematography is wonderful too. So, and it's in the darling little town of Dunedin, Florida. So I think everybody's going to love it.
Yes.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best around.
All right. Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
Remember, no mercy.
No mercy. Sweep the leg. Cobra Kai never dies.